Hello everyone and welcome back to Milo Farms. Well, an old coworker of mine gave me this 5-gallon bucket of kerosene, and I knew I could use it for the Model T park lights, things like that, but I figured I've got so much of it, it'd be kind of cool to have a heater similar to the one on the package here, or something like that, to be able to use some of it in as well, and then I can also use it to help heat the shop to supplement the fireplace, or things like that if I have to do some work in the wintertime. So I did some looking around, and I found a couple of heaters on an auction. They're about $5 a piece, and so I picked them up. So the first one here is a Craftsman. This is kind of a forced air unit. It's got a thermostat on it. It requires electricity. You plug it into that cord right there. And then the second heater does not require an extension cord to run it, and it is it doesn't have a fan in it or anything. It's not a forced air unit. And it's a different style yet. So today we're going to focus on this one right here and see if we can get it going. So getting down here to look at this thing, first of all, I think it's an 80,000 BTU unit, and it's got a fan in the back here that pushes the air out the front. And then you can see it's got a thermostat on the side, power switch, and then there's the cord where it plugs in. It's got a fuel cap on the back here. The gauge is showing E. It's pretty much empty right now, but we'll add a little bit to it to go ahead and try it. You can see on the back here there's a pressure gauge of some sort. It must be a fuel pressure gauge or something. So one thing that's interesting that I noticed here is all these screws are loose all the way along the top, and then a couple of them are missing over here on this side. So that tells me somebody might have been in there before messing with it or something like that. So let's go ahead, we'll put some fuel in it, and we'll see if we can get it to start. So it's fueled up. It's pretty hot out today, so we got the thermostat turned up to its highest temperature. So let's go ahead. It says you flip the switch and it starts. Sounds like it's making some kind of noise. Fan came on. It doesn't have any fuel pressure. And then the fan just turned itself off, and then there's this green flashing light right here, and it's not doing anything. So looking at the manual, it indicates that that green flashing light indicates that there's a trouble, like it failed to start. And then the other thing I noticed is there's some sort of a strange noise in the back here near the fan. Something's not working in there. So let's go ahead and take the top off and see what it looks like inside. So the top's off. You can definitely see that it is missing the little keeper on the opposite side here. It's hard to tell if these had keepers in them originally because there's not scratches where the screws were for these two holes on here and here. But the rest of these look like they're supposed to have keepers. This secures the motor in place in there. And then it looks like in the back, this piece just pops out somehow. That piece just pops out, so you can get to the back here. So it looks like it's got must be a fuel pressure gauge, some kind of an air filter here, fan, and then it looks like a fuel line, some sort of an injector, and then this must be what's making that sparking noise here. It looks like underneath it goes down to some kind of a coil unit. So let's go ahead and try to start it again without the cover on it and see what it does. So you can hear some kind of a striker running. Same thing, it stopped with that green light flashing. So there's still some kind of a weird noise back here in the back of the motor. Must be like a pump or something right there. Looks like there's two lines here. One of them comes from the tank up to this injector mechanism. The other one goes back down underneath and goes up. It comes up to here, and this must be some kind of a pump, like an air pump maybe, that pushes air through and then injects the fuel as the air passes, or something like that. But we're still not getting anything back here. So let's take this apart and see if we can figure out what the source of that really weird noise is, and then also see if we can figure out what the source of no pumping happening back here is. So I got those 4 screws out. Under here, it looks like there's some kind of a foam filter on this side over here that comes out. And then here, looks like there's some kind of a filter. You can see it's nice and clean and white on that side and just nasty black on the other side. And then it's got this other smaller filter over here. And then here's the back side of this plastic piece. So you can see this side here is where it must come out of in there. It goes into this tube. So it looks like there's some more bolts here. There's 6 bolts around here that look like it gets into whatever's in there. It must be some sort of a pump, an air pump or something. I got those screws removed, and I think I see the source of our weird noise we were having and possibly the problem. This looks like some sort of an impeller here with these wings that kind of stick out to the edge, and this impeller is just all blown apart into pieces. So I'll start with trying to find a new one of those, replace that so we can get the air pump working, put it all back together, and then we'll see what we can do from there. So I'm going to jump over to the Amazon, see if I can find some parts, and then we'll get back with those parts. So there's the new disc, I guess you'd call it, or impeller, or I'm not sure what exactly you call it, but got it all put in there. And then you can see it came with a new filter and these new little wings that pop out. And then I also picked up a new filter to replace this other one here that was all nasty and black. I think a lot of this might be the broken pieces of that impeller that came out. So there'll be links to all this in the description so you can take a look at those. So we'll go ahead and get this thing put back. It looks like these little pieces just slip in here like that, all the way around. So everything's put back in there. So let's go ahead and try to put this cover back on with the 4 screws. So correction on that is the 6 screws that are on there. Then we'll go ahead and put this filter back in here, the new filter. And it's got, looks like a little square filter that goes in this hole right here, goes over this hole. And then it has the big filter that goes over the whole thing. Okay, so we're all back together. We've got the fuel gauge put back on and everything, so let's give it a shot. Flip the switch on. Well, it lit. I turned the fuel pressure up just a little bit on the data plate on the side. It said it's supposed to be about 3.8 pounds on this gauge when it's running. And then it said you can adjust it from there to make sure that you have the pressure right, depending on which fuel you're using, the kerosene or diesel. This is a dual fuel version of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on before I run it anymore. Then I'll try to adjust the fuel and probably add a little bit more fuel to it since it's fairly low right now. So we'll put the lid back on and we'll try it again. Okay, the lid's back on. Let's give it a shot. So there it is, all put back together. That was successful, and we should be ready for winter. I'm very impressed with how much heat this thing puts out and how minimal the smell is on it. So I think this is going to be great out in the shop when I have to do those emergency winter repairs on a sled or something like that. This will really help with the substitute of the fireplace out there for sure. So I hope everybody enjoyed the video. A little bit different kind of video today. Check out all the parts, links in the description as well. That helps support the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell so you can be notified of any upcoming videos. And remember to like and comment if you have any questions. And remember, you can't finish a project without getting started.